What set of circumstances do you need in order to embrace transition? Hey, this is Steve, and this is the Career Competitor Coach's Corner. As a focal point of just about every household containing children over most of the last century, just about every person who has walked the earth has encountered Legos. Or if you're like me, will have stepped on the odd piece from time to time when your kids refuse to tidy up after themselves. Lego is one of those household brands that you associate with constant success, almost an aura of invincibility in that they could never go out of style. While it seems almost incomprehensible today, Lego neared bankruptcy back in 2003, having seen a variety of moves they made, starting in the mid-90s, met with little to no success. They got away from their core business model. They tried to expand and compete in markets that they did not have the people or know-how to thrive within. So, in 2004, a man by the name Jürgen Vignudstorp became the CEO and took on the responsibility of transitioning the company back to its former financial successes. Upon assuming control, the focus became going back to the basics of what had previously worked for Lego, while also considering and embracing what the future held so they could adapt with the times. Lego piece by Lego piece, a new set of circumstances were built for the company to thrive and excel within the still very new century, as the transition had begun to re-establishing itself as the giant it once was. Transitions have been such a massive theme in my life, as they have likely been within yours. They come in all shapes, sizes, and frequencies, and they are constantly born out of a notice to make a change. As with the case with Lego, however, an acceptance to change can sometimes be caused by a reluctance to change, an insistence, if you will, that things will come around if you just stay the course. You have likely been in that position where you insist you are doing what you need to be doing, despite only seeing results and returns that leave you disappointed. Our tendency can then be to double down on committing even more to this way of doing things, declaring that this time the result will be different for some reason, only to find the result is just as disappointing, if not more so than before. Any of you recall when Lego thought theme parks might be a good idea? Despite there needing to be a change, our reluctance to it is what's blinding us from the benefits that can come on the other side of the transition. Successful transitions come from a willingness to change circumstances. And while many of you listening to this might not see that that is an absolute statement, I personally believe that by abiding to that simplicity, this statement is what can allow for a transition to be successful. So, I'll repeat it again. Successful transitions come from a willingness to change circumstances. What's worked for you up to this point of life when you have successfully transitioned? Were you just walking through life and tripped into a successful transition? Or did you address the need for change and convince yourself to act upon it? As I mentioned before, transitions are everywhere. As a father of a 3-year-old and a 2-year-old, I watch my kids transition weekly, sometimes daily. I look back on the last 3 years and recall babies learning to crawl, raising themselves to stand, taking their first steps, and in a blink of an eye, starting to run through the playground. Each one of these milestones representing a transition. Each one of these milestones representing a willingness to change circumstances. What I love about this example of a child learning to walk and run is that it highlights what we should all aspire to focus on when implementing a transition. It is an opportunity to grow and or progress. Transitions are not about what you are giving up or what you are having to change. They are about what you are moving towards, what is waiting for you on the other side of the transition that will represent a set of circumstances closer to what you have wanted? What are your current circumstances? What are you accepting as, this is just how things are? Or, oh, this is how I've always done things? When do you want to address the areas that are important enough to change? In the case of Lego, they were looking at potentially existing no more and felt this was no reality that should be allowed to happen. But does it always have to be so bleak to acknowledge and embrace the need to initiate a transition? If you have hesitation towards major transitions within your career or life, lessen the stakes for a moment and identify smaller, almost unnoticeable transitions that you have made recently. Maybe a new diet, or even just transitioning towards a new habit within your diet. Maybe your routine, or even just the fact you have transitioned towards going to bed a few minutes earlier. Maybe it's within the way you work, the way you communicate, the way you use electronic devices, or any other given part of a typical day. There will be an example of transition somewhere. A part of your daily system that you recognized needed to change, and you willingly transition towards improved circumstances for you and possibly those around you. This blueprint for transition that you might disregard as insignificant compared to greater matters holds the very example of why transitions are to be embraced and are worth it. There is growth waiting for you and others on the other side, but you need to find the willingness to change, which means you likely need to identify where you have been reluctant to change so far. Wherever you can identify a problem or a lack of success, you will be able to find evidence of a reluctance to change. This investigatory approach is the first sign of your willingness to change and where a transition is born. So, go investigate, trust your instincts, establish a strength of will, and follow these instructions towards and through transition. All the time knowing you are building a Lego house of growth. Little Lego piece by little Lego piece. Thanks for tuning in to this episode of the Career Competitor Coach's Corner. If you enjoyed what you heard, I really encourage you to share my insights with someone within your community that you feel could benefit from the message with this episode. In addition to that, make sure you're subscribing to the show. I don't want you to miss out on future content, whether it be more Coach's Corner or episodes coming up with some fantastic guests and interviews we're bringing to you, the listener. Finally, before I let you go, be sure to go to careercompetitor.com. Check out everything that I'm offering within my service. Be sure to look more into previous episodes of the podcast, and feel free to reach out to me at steve@careercompetitor.com. I would love to hear from you. But in the meantime, best of luck with anything and everything you've got going on within your world, and I look forward to doing this all again with you very soon. Bye for now.